Marvel's success with their movies has not been ignored. They've been so successful, in fact, that back in 2014, they released a movie with a talking raccoon and an extremely long tree and made it a hit. Not only did Guardians of the Galaxy emerge as a surprise, but it also made the characters themselves very well known. It boosted Pratt's star meter because at the time, he was only merely known for getting knocked out by Wesley Gibson in that movie Wanted.
Yeah, it's great, bro. Who's the man?
And gave the world new memes and heroes the entire family could enjoy. The music in the first film added to the film's success with some smooth pop tunes and feel-good songs. Yet that isn't the only reason for the Guardians' success. Though many would point to Bradley Cooper's wisecracks voice in Rocket as the film's strong suit, he alone isn't responsible for the Guardians' popularity. Many would argue the significantly emotional part of the 2014 film to be Groot's infamous three words towards the conclusion of the movie. While that scene was an unexpected tearjerker, one could argue the film had an unusually emotional moment in the film's opening moment with Peter's reaction to his mother's untimely death. And for the MCU films that had released up to that point, emotion-ridden moments certainly weren't a common thing for the films. Come to think of it, the only moment in the MCU movie that caused me to get somewhat emotional was Bucky and Cap's final fight in The Winter Soldier. Needless to say, 2014 was one of the best years for comic book movies. Even in the sequel, the emotional moments were found, perhaps even more so, not only with Yondu's death and funeral, but even in some of the personal moments with Gamora and Nebula. And this is why, as evidenced by the title, emotion does work for the Guardians films. Yondu going from an unlikable guy to a guy you shed tears for, and being moved by a talking tree, or something that I didn't expect going into both films. And to be honest, this even kind of carried over most recently into Avengers Infinity War. Whether or not the films being emotional is their strongest suit is up for debate. In the meantime, if you've ever cried over a tree, please do let me know in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. My personal favorite of the Guardians is Rocket. While they all have their unique personalities for the most part, aside from a slightly confusing Drax, they somehow play well off of each other. Rocket's carefree attitude combined with Star-Lord's G to X-rated humor usually hit well, and even Groot is even sometimes able to have humorous moments with his three-worded speech. It's no wonder Marvel got Chris Pratt to play Star-Lord, and of course, Bradley Cooper is excellent voicing Rocket. Guardians of the Galaxy had an advantage with director James Gunn in taking the approach of using wisecracks and funny one-liners to the movie's advantage, because it ultimately helped to bring this unknown team down to earth, both literally and figuratively, while the emotion added drama to the movies unexpectedly. The 2014 film worked because the humor felt fresh and it made the movie entertaining to watch, and because, as it turns out, trees have feelings too. While I feel like Volume 2's humor didn't always work as well as the original did, the movie had a mostly better villain and a somewhat bigger scale in comparison to his predecessor. I feel like Drax and Mantis being the seeming ugly combo and going off of Mantis's naive but precognitive abilities was hit or miss, even with Mantis being my favorite character of the new film. Rocket was hilarious as usual, and truthfully, is one of the better MCU sequels. And looking at both Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I feel the original was certainly the funniest of the two, while Volume 2 was more emotional, even if some of the comedic tropes don't work quite as well as it did in the first. Truthfully, this is all very much a reason why I hold the Guardians of the Galaxy in such high regard. Not only did the team emerge as a success, but I think the fact that the first film worked as well as it did, aside from a breakdancing finale, and made the characters as likable as they are, is why I look at the characters and the movies with such a fondness. While I am overly eager to see Adam Warlock debut in the MCU, I am glad Guardians of the Galaxy have had their time to shine as this universe continues to unfold.